find out how you can succeed at work after you survive the pandemic. Join us for the Marketplace Shift, Workshift online conference. The ongoing global pandemic has brought the world as we know it to a standstill. Economies are ailing, governments are teetering, health services are stretched, and individuals are living in anxiety. Believe it or not, this too shall pass. But as we heard a senior UK government official say, it was easier to turn off the tap of the UK workplace than it will be to put it back on. To put perspective on this season, we need to apply the words in 1 Chronicles 12:32, which says, "The men of Issachar had an understanding of the times and knew what Israel ought to do." The question is, what will our work-life reality be post this global pandemic? Will jobs exist the way they were packaged pre-COVID-19? Will work patterns remain the same? Will lifestyle balance be affected? Will some of us really have the jobs to go back to? Will some industries that employ millions still be viable post the pandemic? With this in mind, we need to put on our spiritual and strategic thinking caps so that we are not caught off guard and that life does not just pass us by. Workshift brings you commentary, advice and know-how from industry and field experts that will give you better perspective and a distinctive advantage in the marketplace as we approach the new norm. Keynote speakers are Lord Michael Hastings, Leke Alder, Tonye Cole, Balaji Balogun, and our host Dr. Shola Fola Alade. Other field experts will cover the following sectors: oil and gas, finance and banking, telecoms, industry, media, energy and technology. Don't miss Workshift from Tuesday the 5th to Thursday the 7th of May 2020, exclusively on the Liberty Church London's YouTube channel. Lola Ekugo. Lola Ekugo is the head of the Digital Innovation Labs at First Bank Nigeria. She is at the forefront of the bank's digital transformation journey through innovation and technology. She is transforming the bank through accelerating the digital journey, fintech startup collaborations, and innovating on solutions to real-life industry challenges. Lola started her career as a software engineer over 13 years ago at Investec Asset Management London, where she was responsible for the development of digital solutions in the asset management portfolio. Since then, she has worked in various capacities across technology roles in the financial services industry across Europe and Africa in several companies, including Dresdner Kleinwort, Commerzbank, and BNP Paribas. In 2010, she received a Portfolio Restructuring Unit Excellence Award at Commerzbank for her contribution towards the largest ever CDS auction. Lola is a first-class graduate of Business Information Systems at Middlesex University, with a scholarship for outstanding academic performance and an MBA from Imperial College Business School. Welcome your conference speaker, Lola Ekugo.
My name is Lola Ekugo. I'm a digital innovation and technology specialist. I've worked in the industry for over 14 years. I've worked in the financial services and industry and across others as well. I've worked in the UK, Nigeria, Africa, and I currently work for First Bank Nigeria. I head the Digital Innovation Lab at First Bank. First Bank is based in Nigeria. It's actually one of the oldest financial institutions, around for 125 years, with over 12 million customers. Nigeria is actually the biggest economy in Africa. We have the most population, and so for us, it's been quite a huge impact for different reasons. People are calling this black swan effect, where what it means essentially is with COVID-19, we didn't plan it, and the future is quite uncertain. In addition, there's also like a twin shock where we've had the COVID-19, and then we've also had an issue with oil. Oil prices have dropped. There's also a global supply issue, so I would say it's huge for the industry. Financial services is mainly the backbone of most economies, so it's actually huge. So how has it actually affected us? I'll give you a couple of examples on that. One is, first of all, everything is moving digital, and I think that is across all industries right now. It means that the services that we're able to offer online to our customers, in brick and mortar, so in the branches, are now moving online. For starters, First Bank has about 750 branches. So we had to look at alternative channels for delivery. So people are moving online, that's one. Another is in cashless. So the Central Bank of Nigeria has been moving on a cashless policy drive where they're trying to encourage people to use digital payments. And so we've actually seen a drive or an increase in that because mainly as a developing economy, most times, even as I speak now, cash is actually king. So we've seen a lot of digital payments, and that's because, a lot of shops have been closed. People are still trying to get the things that they would get through other ways, so online. So we've seen a drive in a growth in digital payments. Another thing is companies have had to look at their payment strategy, especially because we've had to look at things like contactless, and this is for health and safety reasons. So even if you get a delivery, how are you going to pay for it, or post-COVID as well. In the places like the UK, contactless is already enabled, but here in Nigeria, even though we have the infrastructure, it's not been enabled. So we've seen people just looking around that, how can we enable this so that people can seamlessly make payments without having to either go to the ATM or touch anything to actually make that payment. And lastly, there's been a drive for digital innovations. So more than now, companies are looking to see how they can actually offer seamless customer services and products to their customers to ensure they're able to meet this changing and very dynamic change that has happened in the industry. I would say there's been a huge drop in transactions, so the volume of transactions. So the amount of things that we would go and do daily has dropped. Entertainment, travel, everything has actually dropped. And so in a way, it's more like less transactions, less fee income. And what that means is, so for Nigeria, one of the ways that financial institutions make money is they actually make money through the transactions that are happening. It's not the same for the UK because you can transfer money to people without being charged, but they actually charges. And so what we're seeing is now there's obviously going to be a drop there because people are not making as many transactions as they would. There's also the global remittances as well, so the amount of money coming in and the income from there. And I think that's also globally. I saw a report from the World Bank saying that there's been like a 20% drop globally in global remittances. There's also the part about loans. A lot of financial institutions were looking to loans to actually grow their income. That's because there were a couple of policies that were released a couple of months ago around the fees that banks were making was reduced. There was a policy around loan to deposit ratio, making banks need to actually borrow, lend more in a sense. So what's happened now is there's now a bit of uncertainty around that because a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of companies cannot meet their bottom lines. The revenues are threatened. So financial institutions have had to go and review their books, review the creditworthiness of people and how much you can actually borrow so that they're not at a huge risk. So those are some of the ways that it's affected the bottom line, I would say. Honestly, it's not a great time. That's just what I would say. It's not a great time because I think what we've seen is people have had to change the way they work and essentially change everything about how they're working, and that would obviously have an effect. So people are now having to learn. So if you're not digitally inclined, you would have to understand how you can sell or serve your product to your customers digitally. You would have to look at how you can offer trainings and things like that, just to ensure that your customers are able to still utilize your services. So there's a bit of pressure on that front. People are having to work from home remotely. So that means that the work that you would have done in your office, some people are more comfortable in their offices. You would have to do it at home, and you would have to still be at the same productivity level as you were in the office. Yeah, so those are two ways. And one more thing would obviously be that there's been a stress. I think people are a bit more stressed than they would be, and because while in the travel industry we've seen a lot of pay cuts, a lot of job losses, I think it's also now creeping into the financial services industry worldwide. And I mean, last week there was actually one of the big banks here actually announced that it was cutting pay, and they were obviously going to even let go of some of their essential staff. So it's a bit of a time where people are not certain about the future, but what can we do? I think in a huge way, and what I would say is I'll speak on the consumer side and the merchant side just to see what's happening there. I mentioned briefly earlier that we've all had to look on how you can go online to do many of the things you would have just done a walk and done. So digital payments is quite big, and what that means is that essentially there's because of the growth in digital, you will also see a rise in cybersecurity fraud and threats. So what we're seeing is there's been a lot of phishing attacks, people asking for information, that you shouldn't really share, just trying to see how they can get into these people and sort of capitalize on the opportunity. So there's been a bit of a cashless drive, and also we've also seen less spending. So obviously people are losing their jobs and things like that. People are conserving their cash and trying to spend more on essential goods and not actually luxury goods. So we've seen a complete change in consumer behavior in this area. So on the merchant side, we've seen people now and merchants actually see how they can be online, create an online presence. I mean, to my surprise, there's some supermarkets here in Nigeria, for instance, who were never online. And when the whole COVID came up, within, I think in less than a week, they actually had pages, e-commerce selling food online. So we've seen a huge, everybody all thinking how they can integrate the payments and offer the same services they offer online. We've also seen things like, obviously because of the uncertainty, more these merchants are looking for loans and looking for grants and funds from the government. So there's actually a lot going on in that end. It's been huge. That's what I would say. The good thing is that with First Bank, we were already on the digital transformation drive. We're at the point where I'd say it's either you innovate or die. I think that's pretty much where it is. So as I said earlier, I head the Digital Innovation Lab at First Bank, and for us, for a couple of years now, it's been key on how we can transform our model to offer a digital-first, basically, model and platform so that our customers can essentially be served accordingly. So we've had to, ensure that drive is continual. Some of the services we offer online are things like we have mobile platforms. You can do all your banking services online. You can use USSD, which is you use your data. You don't even need internet to actually, transact. We have our agency network. We have over 40,000 of those. So even if the branch is not open, people can actually go there. So we've done quite a lot of work already. So for us, it's a journey, and it's interesting that this happened because we're already on the journey to actually achieving this. We've obviously had to look at our uptime as well, because it's so critical right now for these online and IT platforms to be available. Because if people are transacting online, then you want to be sure that you don't miss out on that opportunity. We've also obviously had to innovate. As I said, innovation, critical to the times we are now. And obviously for the employees as well, us and most of financial institutions have had to work on remote opportunities, people working remotely and transforming some of the jobs they do, automation into automated, transforming from manual to automated. And one more thing that's also important is we've also had to look at how we're delivering our services from a health and safety perspective. So ensuring that whatever we're delivering, we ensure that we're delivering it in the best and safest way possible. I think, to be honest, it has changed already, and I don't see it changing back. I'll give an example. So there's been a post going around social media, and it's asking who is driving the digital transformation of your organization. And then there's COVID-19, there's CEO, CTO, CIO, and it's the most popular answer is actually COVID-19. And what that means is, there's no way you're going to go on this journey and go back, So we're only looking forward. There's going to be a new normal. Things will not be the same as they were before. What the new normal will look like are things like, one, digitization will be optimal. People are going to be able to be more comfortable using digital platforms more than physical platforms. And for a country like Nigeria, this has always been a bit of a back and forth, because there are things to consider like financial inclusion. About 40% of the adult population are financially excluded, which means they don't have access to financial services. We're still working on things like internet penetration, cost of data. But what's happened is now it's been a push, and so we've seen people have to utilize these platforms whether or not they had wanted to do so before. So I think that will change and people will be more receptive to that. I think we're going to see a growth in partnerships as well. And so what you'll see is, because of this, you find people finding more ways that they can work together and partner with each other just to ensure that they're able to offer their customers a value that is, optimal and, above their competitors. So we're going to see that happening. Another thing we're going to see is, with every wave of a crisis, most times you're going to see innovations that you've never seen. So I think that we're going to see some innovations that we've never seen before over the next few years, just because of what has happened now. We're going to see new products. The customers are always going to be at the center. Data is going to be critical as well. So what that would mean is companies are going to look inwards now to see how they can make better decisions through automated ways, using technology and using their data. I know that this is uncertain times, and there's no doubt about that. But there's some things that I think we can all do in our corporations to ensure that we are, making the best choices for our organizations. So one is, it's going to be critical to look at your business model, your strategy, operating model, to see how it fits in pre-COVID and post-COVID. Some of the questions you can ask are things like, one, am I able to offer the same products or similar product that I'm offering through a different channel perhaps? So if I was offering things like maybe a training course where people had to physically come in, can I now offer that through digital platforms? So you have to look at things like that. Are you able to offer the same product perhaps, or a different product actually, or using the same infrastructure that you have? So things like you're going to have to look at, and we've actually seen that happen in the market. So I know about LVMH. They make perfumes, a luxury manufacturer internationally. And what they've done is, I know they were making perfumes and some other products. They started making hand sanitizers. What we've also seen here in Nigeria is we've seen people who were making clothes and start making masks. We've seen people who had manufacturing plants also making hand sanitizers, and gloves. So we've seen a lot of those things happening. So you need to look at your model to see if, how you can potentially pivot. Or, another question you can ask is, are you able to offer the same product using a different infrastructure as well, so offer that differently? Are you able to partner, with people who can help with that? I know about partnerships with, I think Amazon was actually looking to hire a lot of employees, about 10,000 employees. And what they did is they partnered with Lyft, because those guys are not no longer driving anyone, to actually help with the delivery. And I'm sure we will see that here in Nigeria as well, with companies like GoKada, Max, NG, who are now actually working more on logistics for delivery rather than actually carrying people. So that's one way. The second way would be to actually look at your short-term and long-term strategy and do a lot of scenario planning on that. So what I mean by that is you want to really understand critically what is going to happen now, how is this impacting my business, what is the response I can have. And what I'll say to that is it's important to respond and not react. And by response, it means that you've gone through your scenarios, you've seen worst case, best case, short term, long term, what can I actually do? 3, I would say, is it's going to be so important, your employees. People don't realize it, but your employees are actually your greatest assets. This is the time to actually draw them near, communicate with them, make them understand the value that they're bringing to the organization during these trying times, what they can do to optimize the business. We're kind of all in this together type of approach. So I think that would be critical. 4 is, I think I said that earlier, innovation and agility. This is the time to innovate and be agile. Things are changing so fast. So I think those are some of the 4 key points I would say for businesses to help succeed would be important. I think this is very important for all of us, including myself, just looking at what's going on. But there's this saying that says that a crisis is too good of an opportunity to waste. And so what we will see is, while we will see people rise in this, people in their jobs, some people will have more opportunities, some people will be poached, some people will have more offers than ever. And what we will see as well is that we will see that some jobs will become irrelevant and some jobs will become extremely relevant. So how do we dissect that? So I'll give 2 separate comments on that. I'll give to people who are in jobs first. So if you're already in a job, great. I think this is important. This is a time where you need to learn and upskill yourself, so improve on your skills. There's a saying that says that we should commit ourselves to lifelong learning, basically. It means that we will need to be dynamic. You will need to find out how this is going to affect your business, how this is going to affect your job, what are the implications of digitization, are you equipped, is there some new skill that you need to learn? A lot of companies are going to be looking at their data. Would you want to be able to know more about that so you can try offer reports to management that will be valid? You need to really think about how you can make yourself very relevant. Number 2 is, I know that many of us are working remotely, and in terms of productivity, we may struggle a bit, but I think this is the time to ensure that you can try and optimize and make sure you are productive, as productive as possible. And this is why. Companies are losing their revenue, they're not sure of the next steps. So they would look inwards, and which we've already seen on cutting staff and cutting down costs and things like that. So you want to be one of the top performers, if you ask me. You don't want to be the one at the end of the year they cannot see what you've actually done. So I think it's very important for us to, not use it as vacation period, but actually work very hard. And then the people who don't have jobs, the good thing is, I would say is, as I said before, with every challenge presents opportunity. One thing is, first, the world has digital has made the world open, basically. There are opportunities, not just in the country you live. You can get opportunities to work everywhere. You can get opportunities to work in Nigeria, in Canada, in the US. Even before COVID, for people in Nigeria, I know that some developers were already working internationally and earning in dollars. And I know it's the same around. I know people in the UK who are working in Nigeria and even US who are actually doing remote work. So you need to really look far and wide, so don't limit yourself. 2 is you need to really look at the skills that are going to be required for this next wave. And you will need to plug yourself in. As I said before, there's been no time as now where there's been so much knowledge available, so many free courses online. You want to look around things like, I'm just going to give some of the examples of some of the skills you could actually look at. I mentioned before data, any data science, data analytics, everybody will want to dig deep into their data. If you're looking into digital, people are moving digital, so obviously there's going to be opportunities there. Digital marketing, digital media, digital transformation. People are trying to build new innovative products. There are going to be opportunities for software engineers. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I'm speaking more now on the financial services and technology. So there will be opportunities. We just need to, I think, be brave and just keep looking till you find something. I think the health sector is going to be big, and I would just even say thank you to all our health workers. You guys are amazing, you rock, thank you. So I think that we'll continue to see that thrive. We're going to see a lot happening, I'll speak in Nigeria as well, around the agricultural sector, because what's happening now is many countries have closed their borders. There's a disruption in the global supply chain. So what we're seeing is people are going to look inwards now. What can we locally produce, so that we don't have to import. So we're going to see growth, I think, in the agricultural sector. E-commerce is big. That one is massive already. I mean, I'm sure companies like Jumia, who never saw this coming, that people are going to be forced to actually go online to do things, to do everything, buy non-essential, essential goods. And we're obviously going to see an increase in things like food, essential, things that are essential. People are going to drive more on that. I also think in terms of ICT technology, fintech, people are on a digital transformation. So we're going to obviously see an increase or need for tech professionals in those sectors to actually help drive. And I also think logistics as well. And that's because for most things now, people don't want to have to go directly to meet people. So they're actually moving to logistics companies to actually help with things like delivery, food delivery, clothing delivery, and things like that. One is we're all in this together, just remember that. But this is really the time to be solution-oriented and innovation-driven. I'll say that again, you need to be solution-oriented and innovation-driven. So this is time to look at the crisis now and look at potential opportunities of how you can deliver better value to your customers, how you can come up with a new idea that's never been done before. As I said earlier, I think that some of the greatest innovations of the last few years are going to come actually in these next 3 years. So it's a very important thing to look at. How can you innovate and how can you change your mindset to be solution-oriented? 2 would be to respond and not react. And this is very important because reaction just means you're just reacting as things go along. It's important now more than ever to take a step back from your life, your job, even if you're an employee, if you're a business, on how what the impact is on your sector and how you can actually respond accordingly. And the third advice would be that fear is actually a waste of time. It's just a simple waste of time. I think you need to gain control of the situation and just keep safe and trust God.